Foxborough cannot let itself get fooled by off-season shine when the pressure is already banging on the door. Today we have a heavy backfield contract, a draft pick already being questioned, a possible tight end move, Will Campbell trying to respond after a brutal night, and Drake Maye putting up numbers that completely changed the size of the conversation. And I'll say it straight, if the Patriots want to climb back to the top of the AFC, nice promises are not enough. This has to turn into production, protection, and bold decision-making. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's break this down with no excuses. The first point is the kind that really gets under your skin, because it forces the fan base to face an uncomfortable question. Did New England pay big for stability, or did it just buy an even more expensive question mark? Eliot Wolf did not exactly follow the old regime's playbook. Bill Belichick, whether you liked it or not, usually treated running back like a position you keep refreshing. LeGarrette Blount leaves, Sony Michel steps in. Sony leaves, Damian Harris steps in. Then Ramondre Stevenson arrives. Cold? Absolutely. Harsh? Sure. But there was roster logic behind it. Wolf took over and chose a different road. He gave Stevenson a 4-year, $36 million extension with $17 million guaranteed. For a running back coming off 801 rushing yards, on a team still trying to figure itself out, that was a serious bet. Then came the 2025 draft. The Patriots had just spent their top pick on Will Campbell. They were under pressure to give Drake Maye real help. And in the second round, they still had a path to an explosive receiver or more offensive line support. New England took Travion Henderson at pick 38. And I'm not going to act like Henderson did not bring juice. He did. The kid went over 1,100 total yards as a rookie, brought real speed into this offense, and gave the backfield a threat Stevenson simply does not offer the same way. But this is Foxborough, not an amusement park. Explosion without a complete role still leaves a hole. Henderson has to prove he can handle more than scripted touches, run between the tackles, protect the quarterback on third down, and become a trusted piece when the defense knows contact is coming. Because if he is only hanging around 10 to 15 touches and kickoff return duty, you start wondering whether pick 38 was too much of a luxury for a roster that still had needs screaming for help. On the other side, Stevenson enters 2026 carrying respect, yes, but also real pressure. The fumbling issues in 2025 hurt trust, even with his late-season recovery. And 603 rushing yards, the lowest total of his career, does not line up with a $9 million per year contract. Warren Sharp ranked the duo 10th among backfields, and that shows the pretty side. On paper, thunder and lightning. But even that debate swung hard, from 5th to 17th, and the combined 3.3 yards per carry in the playoffs sat there like a warning sign. So the read is simple and heavy. Wolf tied money to Stevenson and premium capital to Henderson. Now both of them have to make it worth it. Potential does not pay bills in January. Potential does not protect Drake Maye. Potential does not carry a Super Bowl run. If this backfield is truly top 10, it has to look top 10 when the game gets ugly, not just when the spreadsheet looks good. And when you look at this offense, the next wound shows up at a spot a lot of people keep trying to push aside: tight end. After a season that ended in the Super Bowl and exposed the trenches, the roster, and the depth, New England does not have the luxury of pretending an incomplete room will fix itself. The Patriots tried to strengthen the position. They drafted Eli Hudden in the 3rd round to sit behind Hunter Henry and Julian Hill. But Hill's injury changes everything. Suddenly, a rookie who should be coming in with time, learning the role, growing in the system, and developing without panic, is pushed way too close to a responsibility that may be too big too early. That is dangerous for the player, for the offense, and for Drake Maye. That is why Mike Mayer's name comes into this conversation with real force. Ben Solak's projection putting Brock Bowers as the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year creates an interesting read. If Las Vegas really has Bowers as a hybrid piece, almost a wide receiver and tight end in one body, maybe the other quality tight end on that roster becomes more reachable. Mayer is 25 years old, 6'4", 256 pounds, and he came off a season with 35 catches, 328 yards, and 1 touchdown on 50 targets. Those are not superstar numbers, but they are useful numbers from a young, tested player with a profile that can fit. And I'm saying this as a fan who is tired of watching promising offenses die because of missing details. This kind of move may look small to people who only chase the loudest headlines, but it changes Sundays. Hunter Henry is still reliable, but he is not getting younger. Behind him, the safety net is thin. If the cost is manageable, New England needs to make the call. Draft pick? Conversation. A receiver like Kayshon Boutte or Pop Douglas to sweeten the package? You can talk about it depending on the price. The aggressive point is this: Patriots teams that want to protect Drake Maye cannot treat tight end like decoration. Tight ends help in the passing game, help in protection, help in play action, help in the red zone, and give the quarterback a real outlet when pressure gets home. Maye does not need to be treated like a savior. He needs to be treated like a roster answer. And after the Super Bowl showed where depth can fail, Foxborough cannot wait until the problem becomes a September emergency. Now hold on to this one. Some news does not need a press conference to scream. Will Campbell working during the break before training camp with Lane Johnson, Dion Dawkins, and Tyler Guyton is exactly the kind of image I want to see from a left tackle who came out of the Super Bowl with everyone pointing at him. And we are not going to soften the size of the problem. Campbell struggled in that final against Seattle. According to Next Gen Stats, he allowed 14 pressures, a brutal number, the kind that sticks to a player's name for the whole offseason. For a top 5 pick, for a tackle who became a central piece of the plan to protect Drake Maye, that is not some small technical note. That becomes a pride test. But this is where the read gets really interesting. Mike Vrabel sent the message before the 6-week break. That stretch between minicamp and training camp is one of the most important parts of the season. He talked about being around players preparing for the same fight, about competing even when you are away from the team facility, about putting your mind back into that same pressure rhythm. Campbell heard it. And when you see the kid working pass protection sets with Lane Johnson and Dion Dawkins, 2 guys with 11 combined Pro Bowls, you are not looking at an offseason photo op. You are looking at a player trying to pull knowledge from people who have survived at the toughest spot on the offensive line. That does not erase the doubt about him at left tackle. It does not erase the conversation about a possible move to guard. It does not erase the bad night. But it changes the tone of the discussion, because there is a massive difference between getting hit, hiding your face, and getting hit, going back to the lab, finding big-time veterans, and trying to fix the hands, the base, the timing, the angle, the patience. And for Drake Maye, this is massive. The quarterback's leap only stays sustainable if New England has real protection. There is no point talking about an explosive offense if the blind side turns into a highway. Campbell has to come back stronger, sharper, and colder when an edge rusher tries to turn the game into chaos. Fanbase temperature check. I want to see in the comments whether you feel more confident in Campbell after this work with elite veterans, or whether you still think the Patriots need a serious plan B for the left side of the line. Because in Foxborough, effort is mandatory. The question is whether that effort becomes an answer on the field. And now we get to the center of everything, because every debate about running back, tight end, and left tackle exists because of one truth nobody in New England can afford to waste. Drake Maye broke out too soon for this franchise to move slowly. His rookie season had already given fans hope. In 2024, on a 4-win team, Maye completed 66.6% of his passes, threw for 2,276 yards, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 6.7 yards per attempt, and an 88.1 passer rating. In the context of that offense, that was more than survival. That was a quarterback signal. Then 2025 changed the entire conversation. Maye jumped to 4,394 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, a 72% completion rate, 8.9 yards per attempt, a 113.5 passer rating, plus 450 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns on the ground. That is not a quiet step forward. That is a franchise quarterback leap screaming to the league that New England has something real, and the details make it even more serious. He led the NFL in completion percentage, yards per attempt, and passer rating. He finished 4th in passing yards and 3rd in touchdowns. That 72% completion rate became a Patriots single-season record. In the MVP vote, Matthew Stafford won with 366 points and 24 first-place votes. Maye was right behind him with 361 points and 23 first-place votes, the smallest margin since 2003. Look at the size of that. 1 year earlier, the Patriots were trying to prove they had direction. 1 year later, their quarterback was 5 points away from being NFL MVP. But what grabs me is not just the pretty stat line. Next Gen Stats credited Maye with 203.1 expected points added on pass plays, making him the first quarterback since Patrick Mahomes in 2018 to clear 200 passing EPA in a season. He led the league with 112 downfield completions, 99 completions under pressure, and finished 9.1 points above expected in completion percentage, the best mark since that metric started being tracked in 2016. So do not try selling the idea that he was just managing games. No, Maye pushed the ball, hit difficult throws, escaped pressure, created outside the structure, and still kept absurd efficiency. On throws of at least 10 air yards, he posted a 126.1 passer rating and completed 61.2%. That is aggression with control. That is exactly why 2026 becomes pressure, not celebration. When a quarterback plays at this level in year 2, the franchise loses the right to be slow. You protect him better. You give him reliable targets. You fix the run game. You demand that the offensive line stops turning every Sunday into a survival test. Drake Maye has already shown he can carry the Patriots' ceiling. Now New England has to prove it deserves the quarterback it has. In the end, this is the line that separates a serious rebuild from nice-sounding talk. The Patriots have already received the warning. Maye has become an elite piece. Campbell is trying to answer. The backfield has to justify the investment. And the tight end room needs action before it turns into a hole in the offense. I like the direction, but liking it is not enough. In New England, the standard gets measured when pressure arrives, not when the script looks promising in July. So now it falls on Wolf, Vrabel, and this roster. Turn signals into production. If you want firm Patriots coverage every day, subscribe to the channel and comment which decision defines 2026 the most: protecting Maye, adding tight end help, or demanding more from this backfield.